Hi, and welcome back to the second hour of Focal Point on AFR Talk, free for all Friday. Talk about anything that's been in the news this past week, 888-589-8840. We're going to, Don in Hattiesburg, we're going to get right back to you. Just got an update. I told you we interviewed Peter LaBarbera this morning. You heard that first segment in the program. He detained by Canadian authorities at the border. We've got an update on his situation. He told us in the interview he was going to be heading into a hearing. And Fred Jackson, who is our news director at One News Now, go to onenewsnow.com. Get a solid source of news filtered through a biblical perspective. And Fred, you've got an update for us. And you're a Canadian, so you got a vested interest in how this story turned out.
Yeah, Pete LaBarbera just called our newsroom. He said the hearing's over. It lasted just a couple of minutes. The authorities had a look at the evidence, as it were, and said, look, there's nothing here to keep you from entering the country. Here's your passport. Have a nice day.
And you and I were chatting, Fred, just before we came on, and I'll just let you react to this, and then I'll let you go. I mean, it's just striking to me. I mean, it's good that they let him go. That's good. I mean, we're happy about that. Obviously, the alternative far worse. But, I mean, it's striking that there would be people with government authority in Canada that even think it was appropriate to detain him and investigate this.
Well, I think what happened, there was a group called Intolerance Free Weyburn, which is the community that's holding the pro-life conference where Pete is going to be speaking. And there's one or two guys that make up of this little intolerance group, as they call themselves. And they made a big issue of this, that Pete LaBarbera was coming to town. But it's interesting that the mainstream media described this intolerance group as leftist. Mm-hmm. So if the mainstream media describes you as leftist, then you're way off the grid.
Yeah, then you know that left is about the mildest term you could possibly use. All right, thank you, Fred. Appreciate that. Appreciate that update. All right, let's go back to Don, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Don, you were talking about your own experience in the military. You're talking about guys that come back from combat with post-traumatic stress disorder. You served in a place where there were a number of shootings. So pick up where you left off and tell us where you wanted to go with that.
Right, and the way I wanted to go with that was to let the public know and let you guys know that to allow soldiers to come back right at this particular point, dealing with the problems that he's dealing with, and then putting a weapon in his hands to walk around, to be able to carry this weapon constantly all day long in the U.S. and at the base of where he's at, not in a war situation. We are not at war with our own country when we are on bases. Now, when we are overseas and we are dealing with different countries, different third world countries that we have been with, yeah, it is very formidable to have a weapon at that particular time. But to put weapons in men and women's hand who have just come back from such a tragic way, it wouldn't be good. It really wouldn't be good.
Well, Don, I want to challenge you a little bit on that, because I'm looking at this from this standpoint. You know, this shooter, he brought the gun in from off base. And so what this means, if you've got, and I guess this is my point, Don, if you got guys coming back with post-traumatic stress disorder that could represent a danger to themselves and to others, and you know that.
Right.
And you know that there is a way they could go off base, they could get a weapon, they could bring it on base and start shooting at random, which this guy did. I mean, it seems to me, Don, we would want to have our soldiers in a position where they could protect themselves from one of their own who falls victim to PTSD. You know, it seems when people say we shouldn't have these guys, I mean, because I got to be honest with you, I'm for soldiers being allowed to carry, open or concealed, I don't care which, carry on a base. So, because if a guy like this shooter comes on base, I want him to know that when he pulls out his weapon, he's going to be drilled. I mean, he may be able to take out one victim, but that's going to be it. I want him to know that. He's not going to get 16, 17 victims if he's on a base where everybody's packing heat. He's not even going to, I don't even think he's going to start shooting if he knows that he's a dead man when he squeezes off the first round. So give me your reaction to that. How do we, if nobody on base is allowed to carry, how do we protect them from a guy that can sneak a gun on base?
Right, and that's a great point. It really is a great point. One of my best friends in the room right next door to me had a guy to come in, never forget it. It was on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. The guy walks in, and he had got put out in the Army. but the guy was allowing him to stay in his room. The guy comes in with a shotgun up under his coat, comes in and murders this guy. You're right. We should be able to protect ourselves. Our soldiers should be able to protect ourselves. But because of the environment that we live in, because of the people that we are around, those things have to be controlled. If you give guns to everybody on post, other than the MPs, other than the special investigators, then you're opening up for the Wild Wild West again.
Well, I just wonder. I mean, I understand, Don, and I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate your call. You know, it seems to me.
Not to cut you off right quick. I'm a go, Brian. I appreciate the
All
time
right.
that you're giving me. My heart goes out to the families of the bus crash with the FedEx bus, with the FedEx truck. My heart goes out to them.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for the call, Don. I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you for that. You know, and again, I think Don may have a point that if you had everybody carrying weapons on a base, you might have an increase for a short period of time in incidences. You might. I wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility. But I think very, very quickly that would taper off. I've got a story in the stack about Chicago. You know, because the meme out there is that we got to get guns out of everybody's hands to keep everybody safe. Listen to this story. This is Michael Derstowitz on BizPackReview.com. Murders in the Windy City have plummeted since the Illinois legislature enacted its concealed weapon carry law and the state Supreme Court upheld a person's right to carry firearms outside the home. The Chicago Police Department posted the city's 2014 first quarter crime figures Tuesday, indicating the lowest number of homicides since 1958. What is that? That's 56 years. The lowest number of homicides in 56 years in Chicago. Why is that? Because somebody that's got a gun and is thinking about hurting somebody with it has absolutely no idea who would be in a position to shoot back. More guns, less crime. I think that would be true on a military base, just like it would be true in our streets. You know, it's silly to me. You know, if we trust our citizens to get a concealed carry weapon and to carry concealed, they do that right here in the state of Mississippi. You can get a concealed carry permit. You can carry a weapon in your pocket. You can carry a weapon in your car. You can carry a weapon in your purse. And lawmakers in Mississippi trust individuals to do it. And trust me, it keeps the burglary rate. It keeps the armed robbery rate. It keeps the strong armed robbery. It keeps the homicide rate down because people have no idea because it's concealed carry. They've got no idea who might be hiding a gun in there somewhere and can shoot back. So if we can trust citizens to carry concealed, and we see in Chicago, it's the murder rate, homicide rate, the lowest it's been in 56 years. And I would say certainly we can trust our soldiers with concealed carry permits just as well. Focal Point AF for Talk. Back with more of your calls, 888-589-8840. Stay with us. We'll be right back.